We're not doing a podcast. Mark Weber and Jarrett Least. Now, for anyone that knows Jarrett well, this week has been quite the roller coaster. A series of ups and downs. Let's start with the bad news before we get to the good news. Edwin Diaz likely out for the season due to an injury as Puerto Rico made the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic. Are the Mets just cursed, or what's going on here?
I'm 31 years old, Mark. You're 31 years old. My entire life, I believed in God, maybe until yesterday. I'm not even kidding. How the fuck do the Jets go from getting Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest days ever, literally ever, to then 8 hours later, Edwin Diaz tears his patellar tendon celebrating in a game that's not even for the Mets? I mean, what am I doing here? I can't even fathom what is going on. How does that even happen? It's 100% the Mets are cursed. There's no doubt in my mind they're cursed. You 100% believe they're definitely cursed. I know you do.
I do. There's no doubt. Steve Cohen, I don't know if he'll solve anything. You can spend all the money.
It's just crazy to me how, the World Baseball Classic, so many people I know love it, and so many people throughout the world are watching it, and there's so much passion for it, but I despise it. It's just so bad for legitimate fans of Major League Baseball who put all their heart and soul into the teams they root for, and you see these guys go play for their countries, and you respect the fact that they show pride for their countries, but when there's, it's the celebrating. I literally turned it on just to see Edwin Diaz come through healthy.
And you texted me saying Puerto Rico just won. This is insane. And then within 30 seconds later, oh no.
That's exactly what happened. I was pumped up that, Edwin Diaz looks great. He strikes out the side. He's ready to go for the season. And he's jumping up and down. And his teammates pile onto him. And it's done. It's over. No trumpets. I mean, what are we doing? The season's done. The excitement, it's all done. I mean, what am I even doing here? What are we doing?
It's a lot of players play in the World Baseball Classic, but not every player does get hurt. Gavin Lux has been one of the most significant injuries in spring training. Players do get hurt in exhibition games before the season. Do you think that the MLB should ban players from playing in the World Baseball Classic, or should just the Mets in general, based on the luck that they've had since they existed?
Well, I think when it comes to banning players, you can only keep them out if there's any sort of injury, because I know the Mets kept Starling Marte.
The Olympics, they had that with the NBA. I mean, the NBA didn't allow players till 92, famously.
It's just the whole thing pisses me off, because these guys are so passionate about it, and I respect that, but it's just, and the thing about it, Puerto Rico, they beat the Dominican Republic. It was the quarterfinals. They didn't even win the whole damn thing. I mean, they were jumping up and down like they literally won the World Series. It's just, I literally can't even put into words how upset I was at how that happened last night. And it's just truly remarkable how the highest of highs for this Mets team's expectations, and then you go from that not having the most electric player maybe in New York, especially on the Mets, and now it's just all down the drain. I mean, it's just so disheartening for Met fans. It really is.
Diaz is the highest relief pitcher in the entire Major League Baseball. Diaz also had one of the best seasons by a Mets relief pitcher in their team history. Top 5 up there with Tug McGraw, Armando Benitez. I mean, just incredible stuff.
He's great.
Where do the Mets go from here? Do you trust David Robertson to be their pitcher going forward?
Look, I think the Mets do have a solid bullpen. The loss of Diaz, it just takes them down to a level where almost everyone else throughout Major League Baseball is at. The Mets just had a superhero, and now they don't. They're on equal footing with other teams throughout baseball. So you can win without him. It's just going to be a whole lot more difficult. And it's just the entertainment aspect, too, that the loss of him really hurts. It really hurts that aspect. I know you as a Yankee fan, Mark, I know you love the trumpets. I mean, it's so entertaining. I know you're not a Met fan, you don't like the Mets, but I know you get excited when the trumpets start playing for Edwin Diaz to come up for the ninth inning.
It was cool for a little bit, then it got a little annoying.
You're comparing it to Enter Sandman. I know that's on the
Nothing's like Enter Sandman, but nothing's like comparing Mariano to Billy Wagner's Enter Sandman in 2006. I mean, that was just, it's kind of embarrassing on the Mets part. Just picking that was,
of course, that wasn't right. I didn't even like that aspect, but the trumpets, him coming in, the excitement, it's just, that's what sucks about this even more, in my opinion, because the Mets can survive, I believe. We'll find out, but everyone's always talking about, the World Baseball Classic, it's growing the game, it's growing the game. Oh, whoop-de-doo, it's growing the game. People are going to forget about it in a week. Mark, who won the last World Baseball Classic? I don't even know, but I don't even care.
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but one of the things about the World Baseball Classic that I do love is you see players from countries that you don't normally see translate to Major League Baseball, such as Japan and Cuba, get their chance to play on the world stage. The most famous to me was in 2006, Yulesky Gurriel had a phenomenal World Baseball Classic at age 20, and then became a large part of the Houston Astros dynasty as of late. So it was interesting, especially with Cuba, because those guys didn't have a chance for Major League Baseball. Cuba was in a very difficult, very different political climate. So we really didn't see those guys play at all, and they were a big mystery. Now it's not so much. It's cool seeing the Dominican Republic. It's obviously cool seeing Team USA, even though none of the best American pitchers pitch. But it's kind of more of a, this is a nice fantasy than an actual reality of, do we want to see these games actually be played?
And the crazy thing about it to me is these guys know the risk they're taking. Perfect example, Shohei Ohtani. He's throwing 102 miles an hour pitching for Japan. This guy in about 8-9 months is potentially going to make $500 million. What if this guy blows his arm out pitching in the World Baseball Classic? I mean, it's insane. These guys are just, look, you respect the fact that they're patriotic. They love their country. They want to wear their country's name on their chest. And it's admirable. But there's that part of you that feels like you gotta owe it to the team that's signing your checks for Major League Baseball. You owe it to those fans, and to especially the organizations that are paying you to play for their teams. It's a no-win situation, because this tournament's not going anywhere. Major League Baseball makes so much money from this. The crowds are insane at these ballparks. It's not going away. It just comes down to, do you change the time of year when this tournament could happen?
When do you change it to? Because it's already before the season. Do you change it to after October? Do you change it to November? When do you change it?
That's the only thought that enters my mind, is maybe have it in November, because if you do have an injury like Edwin Diaz, for example, his time frame of coming back is 8 months. You're looking at a potential return maybe in July, August, where you could salvage part of a season. But it's just, look, these guys take their own risk. If they want to choose to play in it, great, but there's no right answer. There's no right answer as to the timing of it. It sucks. I would ban it, but I don't live. It's a fantasy world. It's not going anywhere. You got to live with it. These guys are going to continue to play in it if they want to. Obviously, some of the best players in the world are playing in it. So there's no solution for this tournament, which I just think is utterly ridiculous.
Who do you think won the last World Baseball Classic? It was in 2017. If you were to guess who,
I don't give a shit. Honestly, I could not give two fucks.
Just guess a country.
Dominican Republic. They're good. Obviously, they're great.
Team USA.
I would have guessed them second. So Mazel tov to Team USA for winning the World Baseball Classic in 2017.
And who do you think was the star player for Team USA that year?
Well, I know 2013 was David Wright because he got the Captain.
Yeah, Captain America. We know.
I don't know. Fill me in. I don't even know.
Brandon Crawford hit 385 in 26 at bats. Eric Hosmer 385 also in 26 at bats.
It's just
pretty good. Adam Jones and Buster Posey with 2 home runs. Buster Posey in his last hurrah. Now, we discussed kind of the bad news for Jarrett and for New York sports with Edwin Diaz to start the show. Let's go to the good news. Aaron Rodgers. He's not officially a Jet, but he intends to play for the Jets. Based on everything you know, as a Mets fan, as a Jets fan, as an Islanders fan, as a Knicks fan, as of late, a Syracuse basketball fan. Is there any feeling that this is just about to go all wrong?
He's just got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy,
but the Jets haven't made the deal, Jared. That's the point. There's still a lot of time for them to make this deal.
This is I'm not worried about that. This will get done.
How will it get done? What will they have to give up?
They'll have to if the Packers need to hold them hostage, they're not going to give up a first-round pick. That's not going to happen. If they have to give up a second-round pick.
Why wouldn't they give up a first-round pick?
I just don't believe that's what's going to entail. I know Trey Wingo, who's been on top of the story, said he does not believe that a first-round pick is going to have to be given up by the Jets. Look, I think this is going to be a situation where the Jets and Packers will come to terms on a deal for both sides. This does not want to be dragged out by either party. An agreement will come in the coming days. This won't be long. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. I'm not worried about it. Then it's just time to
get the ball. I still don't know how he's going to be a Jet, though. It seems like a fantasy. He would love to be a Jet. The Jets would love to get him. There's a lot of money at play. There's a lot of picks at play. They have to make a deal. It's as simple as that. But it's not as simple as that. And there's a lot that could go wrong. And if you're telling me that they're not going to give up this year's first-round pick for one of the NFL's top 3 quarterbacks in the last 3 years, I find that very hard to believe.
It's whatever the final agreed-upon deal is, it'll be. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. The best part about this for me with Rodgers becoming a Jet, the reactions from people who have just hated the Jets for so many years, they are absolutely terrified of the fact that the Jets are going to be good. They can't live with it. It's going to be Armageddon throughout the whole world. You're seeing it throughout TV. They just can't handle the notion of the Jets are actually going to be a good football team. And Mark, I know you love it. I fucking love it. I am one of those people who is just going to love when this goes well to just rub it in the faces of people who be like, oh no, the Jets, they always suck. They can't be good. No. Now it is our time to perform and be one of the top contenders in the NFL. People just can't live with the fact that the Jets are going to be a good football team. They can't process it. It's truly, truly remarkable. It's going to be amazing to watch.
What are the realistic expectations for the Jets? Now, according to Caesars yesterday, 5 teams have better odds to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, the 49ers, which is a bit crazy to me since Sam Darnold could be their quarterback, the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets have the 6th best odds, according to Caesars, to win the Super Bowl. Are those realistic expectations, or is that just too crazy?
No, those are realistic expectations. That's the craziest thing about this whole thing. They have never been in this position in years upon years upon years. All we could ask for as Jet fans is hope, a chance. The Jets have it. They have a chance. They can compete with the big dogs. That's all you're asking for when you go out and acquire Aaron Rodgers. No one's saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. They got a shot. they have as good a chance as anybody to compete and go win a Lombardi trophy. They've got a top 5 defense. They've got dynamic playmakers in Breece Hall, who's going to come back healthy. They've Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. They've got good tight ends. They'll improve the offensive line. It'll look even better when Aaron Rodgers is under center. This team has a realistic chance to go out and win a Super Bowl in 2023. It's going to be amazing to watch.
What do you think this, in comparison to the Brett Favre years? Is this a different expectation? Or is this kind of similar to that situation? How do you compare Brett Favre coming to the Jets than Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think the similarity is, look, the Jets back then in the 2008
aside from it being, hey, they're both Green Bay Packer legends.
Well, that year, the Jets, they started off 8-3. I remember they had an amazing win against the Tennessee Titans when they were undefeated. And that was a moment when we were all thinking the Jets are a Super Bowl contender. And then everything went wrong because Brett Favre, he tore up his elbow. It all went to shit when that happened. I said it before to you. Aaron Rodgers, just stay healthy. Just pray to the gods he stays healthy. The way things go, I wouldn't count on anything positive. But look, you have to have hope. Why are we doing this unless there's hope, right? You got to believe in something.
Let me just compare this when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And I know I'm not one to really bring too many hot takes to the table. But
Spicy picantes?
Well, the spicy picante is coming later. The spicy picante take is coming later. That's with non-sports when later in the show. However, I do think, because I know that Aaron Rodgers potentially coming to the Jets is a bigger deal than when Brett Favre came to the Jets. It may not feel like it because when Brett Favre came to the Jets in 2008, it was a humongous deal. Veteran quarterbacks rarely leave teams. Veteran quarterbacks would rarely be interested in a team like the New York Jets. And I'll tell you this that makes it interesting. Now, let me give you a history lesson. In the 2007 season, Favre finished second for MVP. But in the 2 seasons before that was 12-20. Now, Rodgers, on the other hand, is kind of the opposite. Coming off the worst season based off QBR since becoming a full-time starter. But the previous 2 seasons, 1 MVP. Also, the 2007 Jets were 26th on offense and 18th on defense. The 2022 Jets, 25th on offense because they had a hybrid of Zach Wilson and Mike White, but 4th in defense. Now, Rodgers is the better quarterback as of late, going to the better team. This is a much bigger deal than when Favre came to the Jets for the 2008 season.
And Brett Favre didn't want to be a Jet. His goal was to ultimately become a Minnesota Viking. Mark, how many times in the past 24 hours have you listened to the words from Aaron Rodgers, I intend to play, and I intend to play for the New York Jets? I've listened to it 5,000 times. How many times have you listened to it?
Probably twice, just because I want to keep my expectations to be realistic. Because
and you're more
saying the Jets for far too long. I need to see a deal in place. Because with Favre, there wasn't any rumor deals. It was like, hey, this may happen the day before. And then early the next morning in the summer of 2008, it happened. Rodgers, on the other hand, we've been hearing about it for so long, and there's so many different puzzle pieces that could go in place that it seems like a lot could go wrong. But on top of that, who has more of the leverage in the situation, the Packers or the Jets? Based on what you heard from Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show.
I think when it comes to this, the leverage is the same. It really, I don't think anyone has more leverage than the other. The Jets have to get the deal done, but at the same time, the Packers, they got to do right by him. Aaron Rodgers is an all-time Packer great. They can't drag this out because this will look bad for that organization in the future. You're going to treat one of the greatest to ever put on your uniform this way. You're going to drag it out, hold them like a hostage. They're not going to do that. So the leverage game is it's on equal footing. Both sides will blink eventually. They'll get the deal done. But the thing that I found the most interesting just from a few seconds ago is it took us 6 episodes to figure out that you are much more of a sane person than I am when I'm listening to the words, I intend to play for the Jets 5,000 times. And you
like intending to play for the Jets.
It doesn't matter.
I intend to get a bagel tomorrow or a sandwich. I may not get a bagel or a sandwich.
We've had nothing. We've had nothing in our lives.
Intending to get a bagel or a sandwich.
We've had nothing as Jet fans, Mark. So you know what? Let's do it. I'll listen to it 5,000 times. And if God forbid this doesn't go through, I'll cry myself to sleep every night for the next God knows how long. I don't even know. But 6 episodes in, we further proved that you are much more of a sane person than me. So kudos to you.
Who is a more sane person in general when it comes to sports, me or you?
You.
Really? Why is that?
I mean, you could probably give better examples of me being less sane than you. I feel like when we've watched,
I never punched a wall because Kyle Wilson had 2 flags in 1 play.
Attempted to punch. It didn't happen. I've been able to restrain.
You did throw a chair once during a Syracuse basketball game.
I did do that. My anger was boiled over a Syracuse Duke terrible call in the past, but I guess I'm able to refrain myself somewhat, but not really. I mean, you lose your cool sometimes, but I mean, look, that's why we got a good relationship when it comes to watching and talking sports. But put it this way, for us to continue with the teams that we root for, there's some level of insanity that is in both of us. Let's be honest here. If we'd be much more sane if we went to museums, watched opera, went to more Broadway shows. We chose this life, and we chose the life of absolute misery. But I'm going to keep doing it.
You're a sick man, Jared. Now, as I mentioned, quarterbacks rarely change teams. Some of the more notable ones, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. Now, there have been the ones that haven't worked out, like Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers. Where would Rodgers rank in terms of quarterbacks to switch teams compared to the 3 guys I mentioned? Tom Brady when he went to the Bucs, Joe Montana when he went to the Chiefs, Peyton Manning when he went to the Broncos. Where would Rodgers rank among that 4?
Well, I'll throw this question back at you. Okay, so Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. That's great. Tom Brady won.
I'm saying when he got to those teams.
I'm just saying. Okay, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. That's great, wonderful. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. Wonderful. What if Aaron Rodgers wins a Super Bowl with the New York Jets? It's number 1. Like the New York Jets winning a Super Bowl, the world would burn. So it would rank number 1 without a shadow of a doubt. We would go into absolute pure and utter Armageddon if Rodgers won a Super Bowl with the Jets.
I still think Rodgers, this may be bold and another hot take for you, but it's Aaron Rodgers, so that's what happens. I think Rodgers would be the best quarterback in NFL history to switch teams. I think Montana's number 4 because Montana only played 28 games in the prior 3 seasons before joining the Chiefs. Now, granted, he did take the Chiefs to the playoffs twice. He was injured during that 3rd season, so when I'm counting those 28 games, that was out of 4 years. Peyton Manning had the neck injury. That caused a big pause in his career before he went to the Broncos. Tom Brady, on the other hand, won a Super Bowl and then had that famous upset to the Titans. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, would be the greatest quarterback in NFL history to switch teams. Granted his age, granted he's almost 40, but in the past 3 seasons, let me read you these numbers. Aaron Rodgers, 34-15, 68% completion percentage, 247 passing yards per game, 111 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 2 MVP awards, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowl, 2 playoff appearances compared to Tom Brady, my number 2, in his last 3 seasons from 2017 to 2019 with the Patriots, 36-12 record, 64% completion percentage, 271 passing yards per game, 85 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, 1 MVP award, 1 All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowl, but did win a Super Bowl. Do you think that Rodgers is the best player to switch teams?
I think so. I mean, it's just in terms of the talent that Aaron Rodgers has. I mean, it's a totally different debate. Who's better quarterback, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers? Of course, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time based on all the winning he's done. But Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback in my lifetime. I firmly believe. But it's just going to be absolutely incredible to watch Aaron Rodgers slinging the ball on Sundays in a Jets uniform. It's just going to be something unlike we have ever seen. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do with my hands. Like, honestly, I don't.
Yeah, you've been moving them a lot during this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Like, I literally don't know what I will do with myself when Aaron Rodgers is playing football for the Jets. Like, it's going to be insanity, pure insanity. Real quick, should Rodgers wear number 12? Yes, the curse needs to be reversed. Joe Namath sold his soul to the devil after winning the Super Bowl in 1969. The curse. You think before or you think after? Either one. Either before or after. The Jets have been cursed since. You got to reverse it. Wear number 12. Let's go. Reverse the curse. Bring the good vibes back to the Meadowlands. He's got to rock number 12. He has to, right? I believe so. I mean, Joe Namath wants him to. Exactly. At all. The guy who wore the jersey, the guy who got it retired in the 80s and hasn't worn it since the 70s. He's the one that wanted him to wear it. So I think that's that. Quick question, because we only have a few minutes left of this Zoom. Elliot Steinmetz of Team Israel, struck out the following players: Manny Machado, Jeremy Pena, and Gary Sanchez. Now, he is a 19-year-old from Woodmere, New York. Where does this rank amongst Moses splitting the Red Sea and the candles lasting for 8 days? Oh, boy. I mean, Moses parting the Red Sea is obviously just so much more of a miracle. This just all stems back to the World Baseball Classic argument. I mean, this kid's from Woodmere, and he's playing for Team Israel, and you got Matt Harvey playing for Italy. It's just the Hanukkah miracle is a bigger miracle. Moses parting the Red Sea is a bigger miracle. Good for Steinmetz. Mazel tov for striking out some of the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball. And I'm sorry, it's actually Jacob Steinmetz. Elliot Steinmetz is his father. That's the yeshiva basketball coach. Exactly. We're gonna forget about this, and I know you'll remember this forever. I know you love this type. This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's just, I don't know. It's cool. Good for him. He's American though. You know, it's great. It's good for him. I mean, Hanukkah is a bigger miracle. All the presents we'd get as kids, Moses parting the Red Sea, those are bigger miracles in my book. But good for Steinmetz striking out those guys. I think it's got to be number 1 to strike out a future Hall of Famer, Manny Machado, Jacob Steinmetz from Woodmere, New York, and the history of Judaism. It's got to be number 1. Mark Weber saying this is the biggest memory in the history of Judaism. Steinmetz, Jacob Steinmetz striking out Machado, Jeremy Pena and Gary Sanchez in the World Baseball Classic at 19, just 2 years after being in high school in Florida, should be in prayer books. I really firmly believe that. Jacob Steinmetz is a modern-day prophet. Works for me. Sacrilegious as that may be. Be a fun fact on TikTok. A few minutes left. Odell Beckham has been in the news for the past year. His free agency tour is the equivalent to LeBron in 2010, based on the way the media is covering it. Aaron Rodgers reportedly had him on his list to be a New York Jet and a teammate with him. Why do we still care about Odell Beckham? Why? He won a Super Bowl, was great for the first 3 years of his career. Why do we still care about Odell Beckham so much?
It's all about social media with this guy. He just makes the great one-handed catches. He had his workout in Arizona last week. Phenomenal one-handed catches. He can still run
How
routes.
many one-handed catches did he make? He had that one during his rookie season.
On the field as a player, that's the only one. He just makes all these one-handed catches in warm-up drills and in practices and in workouts. That's why everyone loves him. He's a social media sensation. I mean, everyone just loves that aspect of him. I mean, he's still a good football player, but I would take him on the Jets. Let's just.
You don't think he'd be too much of a distraction?
At this point, if you're going to push your chips into the middle of the table, just say fuck it and go all in. Let's have the most entertaining team of all time.
But entertaining doesn't help you win.
Talent, they've got talent too. Talent, yes, talent wins, but entertainment's fun too. I'll take entertainment and talent. So why not? Let's get Odell Beckham Jr. in a Jets uniform. Let's do it.
Does having Odell Beckham on your team make your team with it or not with it?
100,000% with it. Of course, with it.
Even though he hasn't played in the past year.
Well, that's the thing. People know who Odell Beckham Jr. is. He's like an NBA superstar who doesn't play basketball. People know who Odell Beckham Jr. is.
Which NBA superstar is he most like? Ben Simmons, Bradley Beal. He was out for a while.
Ben Simmons he could compare it to because doesn't play a whole lot. The name is bigger than the game. So I'd say he'd be a decent comparison to Ben Simmons, but Odell Beckham Jr. is an electrifying talent. You got to give him some credit to the fact that he is a hell of a football player. So look, let's see what happens with him in free agency. I'd love to see him in a Jet uniform.
And you wouldn't be bothered by him potentially yelling at Nets, making a huge scene, being back in the New York media. Once again, that wouldn't concern you at all. I'm just reminding you of some of the stuff he's done in the past.
I know what he's all about, but I'm all about winning at this point. If Aaron Rodgers, that's the key.
But does he help you win? Because remember, this is the guy that's barely a top 75 wide receiver when he did play in the last few years.
But he did have a phenomenal first half in that Super Bowl a few years ago for the Rams. He helped them win that game. So, look, if Aaron Rodgers...
That's one game.
It was the Super Bowl, though. It's the biggest game of all.
Yeah, but you got to get there, Jared.
If Aaron Rodgers wants him, let's do it. If Zach Wilson wants him, then no, obviously. I don't care what Zach Wilson has to say. But if Aaron Rodgers wants a guy, let's just let him be the GM. Let him control the media. Let him do whatever the hell he wants. I'll take Odell Beckham Jr. in a Jet uniform. Let's do it. Why not?
All right. Jarrett will want Odell Beckham in a Jets uniform.
You will too. I know it. Eventually.
Over it. Rather Adam Thielen. Just whoever makes Aaron Rodgers happy. I want to see what he does with Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore first. That's what I want to see. I just want to see him in a Jets uniform first. Get him to the gangrene. Get it done, Joe Douglas. That's it for us. Mark Weber, Jarrett Lease. We're not doing a podcast, but we just did one late on a Thursday night. Joe Douglas, get it done, please. Good night, everyone.